Hello everyone, my name is Passek, FlyFish Fanatic. Welcome to my tying bench. Today we'll be tying a small little, another midge pattern for my midge month. I've been using this one for a long time, probably got to be going on 20 years now. It's changed a little bit over time, and I hate naming flies. I absolutely hate naming flies, but this one I've called. I'm just going to call it the WhiteWalker, as in the Game of Thrones. And the reason I'm calling it that is because it's very heavy on the white gills. Sometimes you see those Chironomids coming up when they're coming up. They're really heavy on those white gills. So that's what this pattern is for. It's for those few Chironomids that are coming up with those extra white gills. Done super good on this one. At certain times of the year on certain lakes. So, hey, let's get going. And the vise, Hends BL 550 in a size 12. I use the 550 and the 554, which is the same, pretty close to the same shape, but this is the clink hammer, so it's got the flat up here. And I want that for this one. For the body, I'm going to be using Semperfli Nanosilk in black. For the ribs, I'm going to be using Semperfli wire silver in bright silver in 0.1 mil and red in 0.1 mil, just nice and small. For the gills, I'm going to be using some white ostrich herl. And for the shellback, I'm going to use some Semperfli hot orange Goose Biot. Okay, so let's get her going. First, wax on that thread. Just give it purchase onto that hook shank. I will be using my magnifier in this one. I am an old fart and I can't see that great, so I will have to use it from time to time at least. I'm just gonna lift up that light a bit. It's a little bit too much in my face. There we go. And bring my magnifier down. I don't know about you guys, my magnifier, I've got a Stonefo vise, and Stonefo has a magnifier that just got little holes in it for your tools and stuff, and this magnifier just pushes right into that one of those holes. So it's a great little tool. I use it a lot actually, especially when I'm doing small dries and Chironomids like this. So I'm going to go about there. I want to leave the rest for my thorax. Okay, so now it doesn't matter which one you tie in first. Usually what I do is I tie both in at the same time, the ribs, the silver and the red. And I tie them in early because if there's a little bit of a bump created, which there always is when you're tying these in, when I build up a little bit of my taper. You're not going to have much of a taper here, but you get rid of it when you do that. So, okay, flatten my thread. Like I said, I'm just tying them both in at the same time. I'm just leaving it up on either on top or slightly to my side. Flatten my thread. Come all the way down around that corner. And come back up. Leave those off to the side. Come up roughly to where you want to stop with your body. Give it another twist. Just get that nice and flat. Just going to come back one more time. About there. I'm going to stop about there. I'm going to give myself a half hitch, just so if I bump it, it's not going to make a difference. A couple half hitches in that case. Alrighty, so now it doesn't matter which one. You can bring them both up at the same time if you like. It's totally up to you which way you want to do it. Just make sure they don't spread apart. You want them to be together, as best as you can. So that's why I'm doing both right now. turns. One more just to bring it in front there. Tie that off. Helicopter. Ensure you're tied in nicely. Just gonna just build a little bit of a thread base for my thorax. It's not. I'm not building up a like a typical buzzer. You got that football shape. I'm not doing that here. I'm gonna just realign my hook so it's more flat where I'm gonna work now. Okay, now I'm gonna bring my tying thread forward. I'm going to get one Goose Biot. Now, you don't have to use a Goose Biot here. You could use like hollow tinsel or mirage flash or whatever you want. This is just what I've done in the past, and it seems to have worked really well for me. So I just got one off of the stem, and I've just cut the very, very, very tip off. And I want this to end up right on top. Like I said, it's going to be a shellback, so I just got to manipulate it so it's right on top. Okay, and then we're just going to open turns, bring that back, and just going to again make sure all that orange is covered underneath. Counterclockwise spin. Okay, now I'm going to go about there. I'm going to grab, depending on your herl, this one's got, this feather happens to have some really nice thin barbs, individuals. So that's, I'm going to grab two. If you've got one that has thicker, like down here on the bottom, if that's all, just use one. Okay. And again, I'm just going to go right to the front there. Just tie that in. Right back to where I stopped. And then just build a bit of a... It's not huge if you don't get them all, because this is going to be, like I said, a very white head here. So now I'm just going to wrap this forward. Again, if they're not right... If you don't see the bottom, like... the black, that's okay. You don't, it doesn't matter. This is, like I said, this is predominantly heavy white head on this one to produce those gills, right? Like I said, not a lot of them have these, but there's ones that do, and sometimes it's just more of an attractant, right? It gets those fish going, hey, what was that? Why does that have so much, right? So once that's done, now you're going to take your Goose Biot, and you're going to carefully, I forgot, you got to kind of push those fibers down. And you're going to use this as a shellback. Come forward with that. Hold that with your finger. A loose catching wrap. That one pulled off to the side of it. That's okay, because I can just shift it. There we go. Okay, and I worked my way back, gave it 4 or 5 turns just to hold that in. Now I'm going to do a, right on top of each other there, a whip finish. Get that nice and tight. Cut that off. Either cut off or pull off your Biot. I should have probably pulled it off before I... yeah, I should have pulled it off before I... Oh, where's my lighter? Let's just see if I can... There we go. Yeah, I pulled it off. That burnt off some of it. So I should have pulled that off before I cut the thread, because you can hold the thread tight and then pull that off. But not a huge deal. I've still got room to get my my line in there. But there, let's see if I can focus on that for you. There's what the WhiteWalker looks like when it's finished. Lots of gill. Like I said, tons of gill, right? Let's see if I can get there. So, alrighty. So, now I'm going to take some UV resin. And you got to be a little bit careful here because you don't want to get that white trapped, obviously. So I'm just going to put some on. And I do this in stages here. So I get the body. As close as I can to the... I don't want to put too much on though, eh? So this one barely has a coating of it. Hit that with your... Look at that. Look at that white just pop too, eh? Just hit that with your UV light. Now, because this is a goose bite or hollow tinsel, doesn't matter what it is brittle. It can break with it, the tooth of a fish. So I'm just going to put a little bit on my bodkin here, just to protect that shellback. Just going to make sure that doesn't flow into the white. There we go. Just to protect that shellback, and then just zap that down. And look how that glows too. That, I mean, it makes it the focus on the camera goes crazy because it's just so bright. And voila, we are finished. I would probably put a second little dab on that Goose Biot, but for video sakes, that is complete. Let's see if I can focus that. There you go. So you see that it's just got barely got a little tiny little bit of that that Gulf resin in it. But it's kind of an old school style fly, but it is absolutely deadly. This thing has worked for me. Like I said, I've been using it on and off for, it's got to be close to 20 years now, and it's been a very good producer for me. Let's see if I can just zoom in on that a bit more. No, I can't. That's it. So, but as you can see, nice red and silver stripe there, black body, that orangey hot spot, and then those white gills just really popping out. Alrighty, hope you guys enjoyed that one. That's, like I said, it's one of my little oddballs that I use that work really well, and it's one of the ones I actually really enjoy tying. This one, it's old school style. I really enjoy tying this one too. So. Gives you practice as well on doing shellbacks and stuff. But yeah, if you want to avoid getting any kind of resin or anything on those gills, you can do your body first and then put your gills on. You'll still have to be really careful when you do your shellback, but other than that, that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys are enjoying my month of midges, and hope you guys are learning a few things that it's not always have to be the British style buzzers. It doesn't always have to be the Western North American style cone head or white bead head or black bead head with Chironomids. There's so many different styles. There's emergers, there's wet flies, there's bead headed, there's non-bead headed, there's buzzer style, there's ones with, ones without cheeks. There's so many different versions, and many of them work extremely well. So don't just stick to your little niche of just bead-headed Chironomids. Switch it up. You gotta read the water, depending how they're sipping and how they're slurping. I mean, sometimes if they're just slurping subsurface, throw on a shipman's buzzer, throw on a little wet fly, a little zebra, something like that. This here is a little bit slightly deeper. I fished this one primarily in that 6 to 10 feet zone, and then if I go deeper than that, then I start getting into other like reds and chromies and other things like that. So, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you did, give her a thumbs up. If you subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. This channel is growing fairly quickly, and I'd like to keep it growing. I got lots of content still to give. We'll be my wife and I are planning on a move in somewhere between September and January. September of this year and January of next year, down to Mexico, and so I'll be throwing in a lot more saltwater flies as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be doing lots of still water, lots of river patterns, lots of steelhead, lots of salmon, but there's going to be some more saltwater patterns, shrimp, crab, bait fish, that kind of stuff coming as well. So, alrighty, Thumbs up. See you guys next time video. Tie lines.